Hi and welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us today. So today we have eOne Solutions here. We have Michelle and Chris, and they're going to be presenting about their new solution, Popdock. Hi guys.
Hi, Melissa. Thanks for having us.
Oh, thanks for joining us.
All right, so I think we'll jump right in. So my name is Michelle Ani, and I'm a partner development manager here at eOne. And with me today, I've got Chris Dew. He is the brains behind our newest product offering called Popdock. So I'm going to go into a real brief PowerPoint presentation to tell you about the 5 pillars of Popdock. And one thing I want to point out is we've got the chat window open. So if you have questions as we're going along, don't hesitate to ask those of us. All right, so an agenda for today: what is Popdock? Then Chris will write a quick demo and he'll follow up with some key takeaways for you all. So first and foremost, what is Popdock? Popdock is an end user query tool that allows you to access your data from any system in real time. It allows you to visualize that data, sort it, and group it. So Popdock puts data in the end user's hands and allows them to see and self-serve with that data where and when they need it. So here is an example, as you see on my screen, of adding those filters to Popdock data to use that data as you need it. One cool thing about Popdock data, it's always in real time. So this sets Popdock apart from tools like Power BI or SSRS in that no data warehouse is needed. Everything you see in Popdock is in real time, all the time. As you can see on my screen now, I'm showing you how to add a connector. And what's great about this, it doesn't require a developer. This is just an end user popping in that connector, and that data is then immediately available. So the next thing I want to talk about is what data. You know, a lot of times we talk to customers and they think it's only Microsoft data, but with Popdock, that is not the case. So on my screen, you can see the logos of some of the more common data sources that we're seeing, but we have more than 50 pre-built connectors, and we're always adding new ones to that list. So next I want to talk about where that data can be displayed. And when we say anywhere, we really mean that. So we can take our Popdock widget and take data from any of those systems and display that data inside in an application where your user is working every day. So as you can see here, this is Dynamics 365 for sales, and embedded in it are orders from an ERP system. Vice versa, here is GP, and we've got users that can see account information from Dynamics CRM or Dynamics 365 for sales right in GP without having to leave that ERP system. And as I said earlier, Popdock isn't limited to Microsoft products. Here is our Zendesk widget. And so from here, we're helping our support agents. They're able to see from within Zendesk on that Popdock sidebar information from Dynamics 365 for sales. So we have that app on the Zendesk marketplace, and we're working with Zendesk partners worldwide. So the next one I want to talk about is Microsoft Teams. And this is one of our newest widgets that we've built, and we're really excited about it because it's just so powerful. As you can see here, we've embedded Popdock right within Teams, within a Teams channel. Oops, go back for 1 second. So from within this Teams channel, you can see data from anywhere, be it an ERP system, CRM, a credit card processing system, project management tool, etc. So there are really a lot of uses for putting that data inside of Teams. Finally, the last thing I want to talk about is actionable. So it's important to note that we're able to do something with the data in Popdock. Well, it's not data integration, it's visualization, but it is actionable. As you can see here, we're in a Dynamics 365 sales account and I'm looking at invoices. If I'm licensed appropriately, I can open up that invoice in Business Central or GP or whatever ERP system and do something with that invoice. So now I'm going to hand it over to Chris Dew, and he's going to give us a demo of Popdock.
Okay, so 1 second, I'll flip it over here.
tried to make you the presenter, Chris. Did it
Yep,
not?
no, it's popping up.
Okay,
Popping up
good.
here, just getting the right monitor. Okay, I think we're going to take you on a little journey here, and I'm going to start by logging right into Popdock to do this. So let me get the right account. And at its core, Popdock is this incredibly powerful query engine that allows us to connect to basically any data, as Michelle just said, but not only connect to it, it allows us to expose that data wherever we need. So right now I'm starting by showing you that right inside of our web application, we can access whatever data it may need to be, whether it's Business Central, Dynamics 365, customer engagement, or CRM, or external CRM systems, to the Microsoft channel, or again, even if it's maybe some on-premise type of solutions that are like GP or even something stored in a custom SQL database, we can connect to all of those things. And so I'm going to start by just jumping into, you can see here up at the top, I have a lot of different systems I'm connected to, everything from, like I said, CRM to GP to Business Central. And so if I go ahead and click on, in this case, some Business Central data, we're pulling live, like Michelle said, this is pulling live from this Business Central system. And so in this case, it happens to be pulling, oh, that looks interesting. Let me switch to a different list here. Okay, we'll just pull the customer list. I'm going to show you a couple really cool things though after this comes up. That, like I said, this is a live connection to your system. So this is not something that's sitting around in a data warehouse. It's not, a day old. It's not, hours old. This is a live connection. So sometimes when, well, that Business Central, let me switch to a different Business Central. My bad here. Actually, okay, for time, I'm just going to switch to GP for a second here. If I pull up, now I've switched to a different connector. So this is pulling some GP data. I want to show you just a few things inside of this interface that make it really, really cool. So I happen to be pulling live inventory purchase receipts from my GP system. But the things that are inside of here allow me to do things like drag and drop configuration of this list, right? So if I want to see the purchase receipt type, that's the most important thing, I can drag that to the front. If I wanted to maybe I wanted to group this by location, I can just drag that up, and now you can see I have by each location, I get automatic subtotaling of these fields, which I think is pretty cool. And then if there's other fields you want subtotaled or whatever, you can do that as well. But now I can see all those transactions that are inside of there. For a lot of people, I think you've maybe been restricted on what you could actually show for the number of filters. And so we have an unlimited amount of filters. So if I wanted to filter this on, again, maybe a date received, and maybe I wanted to say, give me everything within, or we'll just say greater than, and I could choose a specific date, or I could say, hey, give me everything greater than the start of this year. So now I'm getting this year's sales. But you can keep mashing on this button and keep adding as many filters as you like. There's really no limit, and a lot of people will save these, and then now you have a favorite that you can quickly go back to, and again, maybe see this month's transactions, or this week's transactions, or this year, or last year, or this quarter. I mean, all those are really kind of fun things to have inside of there. And again, not having the limitations is a fantastic thing to be in part of this. Okay, you can also look for specific transactions, right? So let's say you brought back 5,000 records or 10,000 records, and you wanted to find a specific transaction in here, or maybe a customer calls and says, hey, I'm calling you about that one order. It was, I don't know, something 18. Well, now I can see here's all the orders. Okay, it looks like we have 2 of them. Looks like we have a receipt number for 18. And so I can see that information, and it searches through all the records as you type, which is pretty cool. Now, another thing is you're not limited by the number of columns. Literally with one click, you're able to add as many other columns that exist on that list. And so I could add, 3 of those columns, and I immediately will have that data. So I have that data has been returned, and now here's the 3 new columns that we had added to this, and we can change them however we want. Another really cool thing is I can export this to Excel, and I want you to watch how fast it's done. So we only have 100 records, so it should be split second. It's done. It's been downloaded to my machine. It's going to take me longer to fire up Excel on this machine and move it over to the other monitor than it did to generate that report and download it. So there's some pretty cool things inside of here. Also, since I had it grouped, you can see that all of our locations have been put on here, and all of our subtotaling came through as well, which is some pretty cool things right inside of this interface. Okay, so I first wanted to show it to you inside of this interface, and we'll come back to maybe cover a few more things. But what I want to show you now is that we can take any data that was done inside of here, and I can switch it to show this type of data in other systems. And so, for example, right, I'm inside of Dynamics CRM. I have an account pulled up right now, and if I click on my ERP orders, okay, I'm getting ahead of the game here, you can see that it's actually pulling live. In this case, it's pulling from Business Central. It's pulling all of the orders for this account that we just created today. And so we can see we only have one order on here. Now, there's a couple things that we can do. I can actually see some additional details on this account. So in this case, I happen to have a tracking number. This is kind of cool. I'm actually going out to a live tracking system. Again, this one happens to be USPS, but it could be FedEx, DHL, Canada Post, whatever it may be. And as long as I have a tracking number, I'm able to see the history of that. So you can see here's where this package went and finally came to my door on at a specific time. But I could also, if I wanted, I could get a live look into back into Business Central. But because this is an invoice from Business Central, it's actually going to pull all of the line items that were ordered on that. And so we can see this consists of one line item. Looks like they ordered one unicycle on this order. We can also, I'll show it to you in just one second. I can show other types of data, right? And so, for example, I'm going to switch to a different account now before I go back there. But I can actually see help desk tickets that have been placed on this account. And so this is coming from a system called Zendesk, which is just keeping track of all the cases that came in. And so now I'm able to see without leaving CRM, right? I have Popdock that's powering this. Is if I spend my entire day inside of CRM and I just need some access to, again, maybe some data coming from BC, maybe some data come from CRM, something coming from another system, a tracking system, I can make all of that available. Now, the cool part, Michelle talked about this a little earlier, is that I can actually interact with this data as well. And so, like I said, these are help desk tickets. I could do something like add a comment. I can change the priority of this. Right now, it's set to urgent. I can switch that and say, hey, you know what? It's actually that's a normal call. That doesn't need to be urgent. That is basically making a live update to the Zendesk system that I'm in, and has now set it to normal. I can also add comment. So if we wanted to say for the demo, I now have added a comment to that case or that ticket. And if I wanted to, I could even go see all the other comments that have been added to this one. And so this is now pulling live from Zendesk. It's pulling all of the history of this here. And you can see there's a few of these. And where's the last one? For the demo. There's the one I just typed in right now. So you can see it's pretty cool that you can get at whatever data you need, whether it be data coming from an external system, like maybe a credit card payment gateway. So it could be something like Square or Braintree or Stripe or There's a few other ones, PayPal, those kinds of things. We can pull that information in, and you can see that right inside of your ERP system or CRM system. I'll show you one other thing as well. If I go back to this one, we can also display information in a very different way too, right? So this is pulling from a custom SQL table. This is, again, now exposing it to the cloud, and I exposed it in more of a graphical way as opposed to just a again, just a list representation of the data. So this is pretty cool that I can show a bar chart, or even I think this example, there's probably nothing because we only have one order and one item on here. So this would have a breakdown of all of the inventory items. It's pulling that live from Business Central. And I think this one's going to display it as a pie chart. So it's probably going to be the world's worst pie chart of saying all we've ever sold to this customer is one unicycle. But here's what I want to take it. You can see that we also can interact with this because this is Business Central in this case. I can actually do something right from CRM, and I can drill back into either see the customer or the invoice. I've already showed you some details on the invoice, so why don't I drill back to the customer? And so what it's now doing is it's drilling back to that customer card inside of the system. So this is one that was just created earlier. But what I want you to see is what's loading over here right now is this is pulling this Popdock. This is another a piece of Popdock, a widget that's embedded inside of Business Central now, that's showing a live look into CRM. So it has some information on whatever we've entered into CRM. We can also, again, see all of the orders, which is just that one. So that's the invoice that's come in and sits inside of Business Central. But this could be anything, right? This could be opportunities coming in. This could be, like, again, some shipping information on a sales order or something like that. So it's pretty cool that you can take any data that you need and pull it into this type of system. Now, what I want to show you is if I go onto that customer now, we do have this embedded inside of Business Central. And so I can see all kinds of data in here if I want. And so if I click on this Popdock, you'll see most of these are business. I think they're all Business Central lists right now, but I could be pulling data from, again, maybe a legacy system. We have a number of customers that have chosen to upgrade from GP to Business Central in the cloud. And so we have some of them that want to still see their GP data right out there in the cloud. But again, just to show you, if I pull up like inventory items, for example, I'm now pulling up the same type of data in this system, but now it looks and feels just like Business Central. It doesn't feel like a foreign application. It doesn't matter what data we're showing inside of here. If it's a Zendesk help desk data, or if it's, again, like in this case, it is actually Business Central data, or if it was maybe historical data from a migration from an ERP system, it's going to have that same look and feel of this. And again, you can quickly switch between, whatever lists you may need to do. If I need to switch to, like detailed customer ledger entries, now I can pull that information in here as well. So I wanted to show you just a couple different systems where you might be able to see this type of data. Okay, and there we go. There's our detailed customer ledger entries. So I'm going to quickly go back to Popdock, and I want to show you one more thing. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I wasn't going to go back to Popdock. I was going to take you to GP real quickly, just to show you that the same kinds of things that I showed you inside of Business Central, right? If you're on the GP side of things, you have the same tools at your disposal. And so now you can see, I'll just pick a company for this one. I'm now pulling from inside of GP. I now have a list, and this happens to be GP data. I'm pulling that list from here, and it has the same look and feel. One really cool thing I didn't show you before on the Business Central side, but you can actually, it works there as well, is if I want to pull data from multiple companies, I can. This is pretty cool to me because we have some customers that have over 30 companies in their ERP system, and they want to be able to create reports across, 10 or more of those to get the meaningful data that they need. And the cool thing is that it actually shows you which company it's coming from. So you would see the records coming from Fabricam or the records coming from the 4-iron foundry, which is pretty cool. But then, like I said, I'm not limited to just GP data. I could show you other GP data, but I could also show you those help desk tickets that I showed you before. It's pulling live from a cloud application. Again, I don't know how many times people are like, really? Like for GP, this is, you can actually pull live from all of these web applications out there? Absolutely. This is a live look into that Zendesk system. And I think a really cool thing, right? I can do all those same things. I could add a comment to that help desk ticket right from inside of GP, which is pretty cool. And there's no programming that needs to be done here. All those same things, right? If I wanted to show more columns on this GP list, I can, add whichever ones I want, and I should quickly get that data back. So those are pretty cool things that we can basically publish whatever list that we want, and not just GP data, right? This gets me that other data that I need to do my job every day. Again, whether it be credit card processing or, again, e-commerce orders or whatever it may be, we can pull all of those things in. Additionally, I want to show you one other really cool feature, and then we'll jump back into just the last few things. And that is I can attach Popdock windows to anywhere inside of GP that I want. And so if I wanted to see some live information coming from CRM, same kind of thing on this customer, right? I can see some information coming from the account, or in this case, I have the opportunities that are pulling for Adam Park. So this is coming live from my CRM system. I can see that there's 3 opportunities, and here's all that information. So without having to leave my GP system in this case, I can see that extra data, and it's all powered by Popdock. I'll show you one other thing inside of here. I just have one that's pulling all of the sales transactions for Adam Park. And you can see that it's passing that parameter in. And the cool thing is all those actions that are right, or go-to, right? We call them go-tos from the smart list world. We can drill back to all of those places right inside of GP right from here. So this is what's pretty cool about Popdock. Okay, now I'm going to jump out of there and go back to the web interface. And this is where I think there's some really important things. In this system, you can see you have 1 million connectors set up. Guess what? It doesn't cost you any more if you have 1 million of them set up. That's one thing I absolutely love the story of Popdock, is that if you need to connect to 10 things or 3 things, it doesn't matter. Just matters what you need to add for users. But what I want to show you is how easy it is to add new connectors. And so we have quite a few of them, everything from Microsoft Azure tables to a lot of the classic ERP systems and CRM systems. But I want to draw your attention to 2 really important ones. We can connect to those on-premise or even hosted in the cloud Azure database. And so it's really cool that we can connect to those custom applications that you may need to do and expose it in a cloud interface. Additionally, like I said, while we have quite a few connectors today, we don't have everything out there. And again, a lot of you may find industry-specific applications that you may need to connect to. We can connect to those things as long as they have a web service, like a REST-based web service. We can now connect to that data, and again, you can do the same kinds of things with it, have that same interface, do the same filtering right through here. So I just wanted to show you those connectors. This is where you add new connectors, but let's dive into, I'm going to go into a GP one. Maybe I'll go into a Business Central one as well in a second. But here's the GP one that I was in earlier. And one cool thing inside of here, right, is all the groups are kind of matching back to my smart list areas inside of GP. Here's a bunch of standard of them. I think for GP, there's over 80 of them now. On Business Central side of things, there's almost 70 standard lists out of the box. But you're not limited. This is what I think is probably one of the most key things, is you're never limited to just what we've done for you. You can add any kind of list. So inside of GP, I'll show it to you, and I'll show it to you inside of Business Central in a second. But I can add anything that has an extender, window, or form. I could add anything that was built with Smart List Builder. So it's pretty cool that you can basically connect to any of those things. Even Baby Smart List Builder from Microsoft, um, their Smart List Designer, I guess is what they call it. You can actually add those kinds of things right inside of here, and it'll show up right inside of Popdock. And then even if you need to just go down to the table or view level, we can pull those things in. So it's really wide open for you. Another thing just to point out really quickly, but we can have custom lists. And this is where the power of Popdock really starts to shine, because I'm no longer limited to just one piece of information. I can now connect data from multiple connectors, right? I could connect data coming from my CRM system and my Business Central system. I could join that data and see, maybe a customer inside of Business Central. I could see all of the custom fields that I'd put inside of CRM. I could have that in one list. I could do a comparison, right? Maybe I'm comparing GP customers to my CRM accounts, and I want to see all the ones that exist in CRM that don't exist inside of GP, or maybe just the ones that do exist in both. I can do those kinds of lists. I can even do merge lists, right? So we have a number of people again that are doing migrations, that they want to be able to pull data again, maybe from a historical type of system without migrating all the data over. They just want to be able to see the data, but then they want to also pull in the new, sales transaction data for their customers. And so you can have one list that is pulling from, again, from one new system and one from archival system, and have that displayed right inside of here. Or again, maybe there's people that are taking e-commerce orders and need to pull from, something in Shopify, something in Magento, something in WooCommerce, right? I can pull all those things together and have one list of here's today's orders, no matter where they came from. So there's some pretty cool things that we can do inside of here. I'm going to jump into one of my Business Central connectors real quick, just to show you it's very similar, that we can add those kinds of things. And so if I go ahead and go into the lists here, if I add lists, this is basically pulling from all of the pages that exist inside of Business Central. And so if you've added new custom ones, I think you'll see as I scroll through, there's a few of these that have like either my name on or something. You can tell that they're custom. Or David, here we go. We have some David David lists. We can pull in any data that's a page or an inquiry inside of Popdock, which makes it incredibly powerful, and we can create some really amazing reports right from this data. We've done a ton of things around maybe just some more detailed aging around AP and AR that's really helped a lot of customers. So we've provided some better inquiry. So being able to drill down, so maybe somebody searches for an invoice and they want to know the checks that paid, or the payments that paid off that invoice, or maybe the other way around. Maybe, hey, I paid for a group of invoices with this check. I want to see all of the invoices. So we've given a few custom lists to some of our customers, just showing how much easier it is to drill down to that data and use it. So those are a couple things I wanted to show you inside of here. I'm going to show you one more thing. I don't know if Michelle mentioned this, but this is a really cool thing that we can do. And so I'll show you. I'll just pull up this list. This one happens to be a list called items out of stock. Now, what this does, this is called a scheduled job, where I can basically, without having to log into Popdock, without having to log into Business Central or some other system, I could get an email with an Excel report that had all of the records that were in there. Now, why is this so cool? Well, a lot of people will design for, we call them exceptions, right? I might only want to know all the items that are out of stock. I don't want to know all of the inventory levels, maybe for all of my items. I just want to know the ones that have maybe gone below a threshold that we've established. And so if I have that list that I've done in Popdock and have that filtered out, I can basically, pick the list, the group. I can pick a favorite if there's a favorite on it. I can choose, which email addresses I want to send it to. This becomes a subject of the email. This is the time of day it runs. Now, this is kind of cool. If I did this every day at 12:01, I would get this report if there was anything in it. If there weren't any items out of stock, I wouldn't get the report that day. It's not going to clutter up your inbox. But I could also say, hey, this is something we only run on Monday and Thursday. right? That's only 2 days of the week that we run this. So then I would just get it twice a week. Or I could say this one runs on the 1st and the 15th of the month. For a lot of people, this is a really, really efficient way of being able to work with data from those other systems with, again, maybe it's not something that I need to log into Popdock or those other systems for. I just want to know when that criteria has been met. And then that means in turn, it's something that I need to take action on that data. So this is a pretty cool feature, and now this is a job that's been scheduled, and we'll go out I think on the 1st and the 15th of the month at 12:01. So Michelle, I think I've done a lot of talking. Um, I don't know if you have a couple more slides, I think, to wrap it up, and we can answer any questions that people may have.
Yeah, I do. If I can
So I
just
probably
grab
need to make you the
control.
presenter again. Yeah, I'll do it.
Oh, I just tried to pass it over to her, so
Yep, you're good. You beat me
somehow
to
she'll
it.
get it.
Thank you.
All right. Well, Chris, thanks for that demo. I know that that is something that you're super passionate about, so it's always fun to see you present. So finally, some key takeaways. Uh, it's just the simplicity of Popdock for that data visualization. It's a tool for end users that allows them to access the data that they need anywhere in real time. All right, so on the next slide, we've got my contact information. You can reach out to Encore for further information. We'd be happy to set up a trial. There's a link on the bottom of that screen to set up that trial. Do we have any questions in the queue, Melissa?
Let me just take a look. I don't see any questions that have come in, so we might be able to give you a little bit of time back.
Great. Well, so my email address is in the slide deck, and feel free to reach out with questions. We'd be happy to answer those at any point. Chris, did you have anything to add to wrap up?
No, I guess maybe one more thing. I showed you a couple of examples of this data being embedded in other systems like a CRM system, a GP system, Business Central, but use your imagination, right? Michelle showed something earlier where we could embed it inside of Microsoft Teams. So we know a lot more people are using Microsoft Teams, given the recent events in the world. And so we certainly use it internally, and it's really nice having some of our lists just having the access to it right inside of the interface. Um, or maybe it's something SharePoint, right? You need something embedded inside of SharePoint, or maybe you have your own custom portal. You can embed whatever data that you need where you need it, and that I think truly is the power of Popdock.
All right. Well, with that, Melissa, I think we'll go ahead and wrap up.
All right, that sounds great. Thanks so much to both of you for joining us today.
Yes, thanks for having us.
Thanks for everyone else. Okay, goodbye.